Hollywood stars often earn immense fortunes, living lives of luxury and fame. However, wealth doesn't always last a lifetime. Many of the most successful actors and singers from Hollywood's golden age tragically died broke, despite their peak success and popularity. In this second part of our series on Golden Age actors and singers who died in poverty, we delve into the reasons behind their financial downfall and uncover just how much debt they were burdened with at the time of their deaths. George Raft. George Raft was a leading actor during Hollywood's golden age, renowned for his portrayals of gangsters in classic films. He gained fame with his role as Gino Rinaldo in Scarface, 1932, and solidified his reputation with performances in movies like They Drive by Night, 1940, and Some Like It Hot, 1959. Despite his success and substantial earnings, Raft faced significant financial difficulties later in life. Raft was known for his extravagant lifestyle and generous spending habits, often supporting friends and family, which greatly depleted his wealth. He had a penchant for gambling, and substantial losses over the years eroded his financial stability. Raft famously turned down major film roles that became huge successes for other actors, such as The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca, both of which boosted Humphrey Bogart's career. These decisions affected his long-term earning potential. His connections with dubious figures and involvement in questionable business ventures also had negative financial repercussions. By the mid-1960s, Raft's financial situation had deteriorated significantly. He declared bankruptcy in 1966 due to mounting debts and tax issues. Despite attempts to revive his career with smaller roles and public appearances, he was unable to regain financial stability. When George Raft passed away on November 24, 1980, at the age of 79, he was reportedly in financial hardship. Marvin Gaye. No doubt Marvin Gaye was a talented singer and songwriter who created many hit songs. His album, What's Going On, is often ranked as one of the best albums in music history. Despite his musical success and many fans, Marvin wasn't good at handling his money. Most of his earnings went to his two ex-wives after his marriages failed. He also had serious tax problems, which forced him to move to Europe for a time. To pay the $600,000, he owed his ex-wife to alimony. He had to give up the rights to his album, Here, My Dear. Problems seemed to follow him everywhere, and to cope, he turned to drugs and alcohol. These habits made his money troubles even worse. On April 1, 1984, Marvin got involved in a fight between his parents. The argument became violent, and his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., shot him twice in the chest. The first bullet hit his heart and was fatal. Marvin died just minutes later, one day before his 45th birthday. He passed away penniless and deeply in debt. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley shot to fame in the mid-1950s with a long string of smash hits that are still adored by fans to this day. Presley also launched his movie career around this time, landing lead parts in movies such as Jailhouse Rock and Blue Hawaii. It's estimated that the king of rock and roll earned somewhere between $100 million and $1 billion over the course of his epic career. Yet when Elvis Presley died from a heart attack in 1977, aged just 42, he only had $5 million in the bank. In fact, he passed away owing double that amount to the IRS in unpaid taxes after years of extravagant spending and drug addiction. As inheritors of the estate, Elvis's ex-wife Priscilla and his father Vernon were left to foot the enormous tax bill. Priscilla worked tirelessly to turn the estate around, later transforming Elvis's beloved Graceland home into a major tourist attraction. As a result, the estate was worth an incredible $100 million by the time it was passed down to the couple's daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, in 1993. Lisa Marie herself was reportedly $4 million in the red at the time of her sudden death in January 2023, with more than half of the debt owed to the IRS. Bobby Driscoll. Bobby Driscoll was one of the most famous child actors of the 40s and 50s, starring in hundreds of films and securing a lucrative contract with Disney. Discovered at just 5.5 years old, Bobby's career skyrocketed with standout roles in classics like The Fighting Sullivans in 1944 and Song of the South, 1946. By 1950, he was earning $1,750 per week, which was a massive sum for the time. He also won the Academy Award for Outstanding Juvenile Actor for his role in The Window in 1949. His portrayal of Jim Hawkins in Disney's Treasure Island further cemented his status as a top star, making him one of Hollywood's elite child actors. At his peak, Bobby was in high demand, beloved by audiences, and respected by peers. However, fame and fortune came with heavy personal costs. As he grew older, the typecasting began to change. Puberty brought severe acne and Hollywood lost interest, abruptly ending his promising career at 16. Struggling to transition, Bobby fell into drug addiction, which led to multiple arrests and jail time. His once brilliant career dwindled as opportunities vanished. By the time of his death in 1968 at age 31, Bobby Driscoll was living in extreme poverty. He was found dead in an abandoned East Village tenement, broken alone, surrounded by empty beer bottles. His legacy as a talented actor was overshadowed by his tragic downfall, highlighting how even the brightest stars can fall into darkness. Bobby Driscoll's story is a heartbreaking reminder of the fleeting nature of fame and the devastating impact of personal struggles. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds was an iconic figure in American film, celebrated for his dynamic presence and memorable roles. Born Burton Leon Reynolds on February 11, 1936, in Lansing, Michigan, he grew up in Riviera Beach, Florida. With a father serving as a police chief, Burt developed a strong work ethic and excelled in athletics. He played football at Florida State University, but a debilitating knee injury and a subsequent car accident ended his athletic career, steering him towards the world of acting. In the 1960s, Reynolds made his mark on television with standout performances in series like Gunsmoke, Riverboat, and his own show, Hawk. His move to Hollywood was a game-changer, securing leading roles in action films such as Deliverance, White Lightning, and The Longest Yard. By the late 1970s, Burt was a household name, starring in the wildly successful Smokey and the Bandit series and other box office hits like Semi-Tough and The Cannonball Run. His on-screen charisma and versatility made him one of the highest-paid actors of his time, consistently in demand, and adored by fans worldwide. Despite his professional success, Reynolds' personal finances were mismanaged. Following his divorce from his second wife, Lonnie Anderson, in 1993, Burt began to encounter significant financial troubles. By 1996, he declared bankruptcy, burdened with $10 million in debts against $6.65 million in assets. The financial strain forced him to sell his beloved South Florida ranch, a prized possession from his prosperous years. In a candid 2015 interview with Vanity Fair, Reynolds confessed to reckless spending, poor financial decisions, and trusting the wrong people, which led to his downfall. Even though he managed to stabilize his finances somewhat later, Burt Reynolds passed away on September 6, 2018, at the age of 82, having experienced a dramatic fall from Hollywood royalty to financial hardship. Anita Ekberg. Anita Ekberg was one of the most glamorous and sought-after actresses of the 50s and 60s. Born in Sweden and raised in Italy, she skyrocketed to fame with her unforgettable role in Fellini's La Dolce Vita. Known as a blonde bombshell with stunning looks, Ekberg became a symbol of beauty and allure, starring alongside Hollywood legends like John Wayne, Jerry Lewis, and Dean Martin. Her performances captivated audiences worldwide, making her one of the top earners in the film industry during her peak years. At the height of her career, Ekberg was in high demand, gracing the screens in numerous blockbuster films and commanding hefty salaries. She lived a lavish lifestyle, enjoying the perks of fame with luxury homes, designer fashion, and exclusive parties. Her star power made her a favorite among directors and producers, ensuring a steady stream of roles and financial success. However, Ekberg's fortunes took a dramatic turn in her later years. Despite her earlier success, she faced severe financial mismanagement and personal tragedies. She lost her wealth to unscrupulous individuals, endured a devastating house fire, and struggled with mounting medical expenses. These hardships stripped her of the glamorous life she once led. By the time of her death in 2011, at age 83, Anita Ekberg was living in poverty in Italy. She was applying to the charitable Fellini Foundation for financial assistance, highlighting the stark contrast between her illustrious career and her final years. Ekberg died broken alone, which is a tragic end for a star who once shone brightly in Hollywood's golden age. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was a legendary singer, actor, and comedian, earning the title Mr. Show Business as the most famous African-American entertainer of the 20th century. At the peak of his career, Sammy dazzled audiences worldwide, starring in iconic films like the 1960 Rat Pack movie Ocean's 11 alongside Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. His 1972 smash hit song The Candyman not only topped the charts, but also earned him a Grammy nomination, solidifying his status as a top-tier performer. During his heyday, Davis was in extremely high demand, commanding hefty salaries for his roles in film, television, and live performances. At his peak, he earned millions annually, thanks to his extensive body of work and immense popularity. However, Sammy Davis Jr.'s financial success was short-lived. Years of extravagant overspending on luxury items, lavish parties, and a high-profile lifestyle drained his wealth. His love for the finer things in life led him to make poor financial decisions, including excessive gambling and costly investments. Additionally, Sammy faced significant tax issues, accumulating around $7 million in unpaid taxes to the IRS. By the time of his death in 1990 from cancer, Sammy Davis Jr. was flat broke. Despite his monumental success and millions earned at his peak, he died in financial hardship. After his passing, royalties from his film and TV appearances, as well as sales from his records and memorabilia, were directed straight to the IRS to clear his substantial debts. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney's illustrious career in show business spanned 9 decades, making him one of Hollywood's most enduring and beloved actors. He starred in hundreds of films, including the mega-hit Breakfast at Tiffany's, showcasing his incredible versatility and talent. Renowned actors like Laurence Olivier once called him the best there has ever been, highlighting his exceptional skills and star power. At the peak of his career, Rooney was a major box office draw, earning millions of dollars annually. His charm and charisma made him a favorite among audiences and filmmakers alike, ensuring a steady stream of lucrative roles and endorsements. Despite his immense success and substantial earnings, Rooney's personal life was tumultuous. He battled alcoholism and addiction to prescription narcotics, which took a severe toll on his finances and personal relationships. Married 8 times, many of his marriages were loveless, further complicating his personal stability. In 1962, severe financial mismanagement forced Rooney into bankruptcy, despite his previously substantial wealth. His financial woes continued to escalate over the years. In 2014, shortly before his death at age 93, Rooney testified before Congress, revealing that several family members were exploiting and physically abusing him. By the time of his death, his multi-million-dollar estate had dwindled to just $18,000, leaving him penniless. There wasn't even enough money to cover his funeral expenses, marking a tragic end to a once glorious career. Meatloaf. Born Michael Lee. A day on September 27, 1947, Meatloaf soared to phenomenal heights as both a singer and actor. His 1977 album Bat Out of Hell became one of the top 5 best-selling albums of all time, selling 43 million copies and earning platinum status 14 times from the Recording Industry Association of America. This masterpiece cemented his status as a rock icon, while his acting career flourished with appearances in over 100 films, including Fight Club and Wayne's World. At his peak, Meatloaf was a major earning powerhouse, commanding millions of album sales, tours, and movie roles. However, behind the scenes, Meatloaf's financial empire began to crumble. In 1983, he declared bankruptcy due to poor financial management, addiction issues, and costly legal battles. His tumultuous relationship with songwriter Jim Steinman led to multiple lawsuits, including a staggering $500 million demand. Ultimately, Meatloaf faced 45 lawsuits totaling $80 million, forcing him to tour intensively to cover his mounting debts. He lost his home and publishing rights, with unpaid royalties from Sony estimated at $5 million. Despite these hardships, Meatloaf's resilience shone through. In 1993, he released Bat Out of Hell 2, featuring his biggest hit, I'd Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That, which revitalized his career and helped him recover financially. By the time of his death in 2022, Meatloaf had amassed a net worth of $40 million, showcasing his incredible ability to bounce back from near financial ruin. Billie Holiday. In the 1930s and 40s, Billie Holiday's voice was pure magic. Her unique phrasing and emotional depth revolutionized jazz singing, earning her the nickname Lady Day from saxophonist Lester Young. At her peak, she commanded sold-out shows at Carnegie Hall and earned up to $1,000 per week at prestigious venues like Café Society, an astronomical sum for a black performer in the segregation era. Her 1939 recording, Strange Fruit, a haunting protest against lynching, sold over 1 million copies and became her signature song. But beneath the glamour lay deep wounds. Sexually assaulted at age 10 and forced into prostitution at 14, Holiday's early trauma haunted her throughout life. She found herself drawn to abusive men who exploited her financially and emotionally. As her fame grew, so did her dependence on heroin and alcohol. Her decline was precipitous. By the 1950s, her drug arrests and subsequent loss of her cabaret card meant she could no longer perform in New York City clubs. Unscrupulous managers embezzled her earnings, while record companies paid her a mere fraction of her royalties. Her voice, once silky and powerful, grew raspy and fragile. In May 1959, Holiday was admitted to Metropolitan Hospital in New York, her body ravaged by cirrhosis and heart disease. Still under arrest for drug possession, she was handcuffed to her hospital bed. When she died on July 17, 1959, her bank account held just $750, a pittance compared to the millions her music had generated. Tragically, even to death, she was penniless. Florence Ballard. In the early 1960s, Florence Ballard was riding high as a founding member of the Supremes, one of Motown's most successful acts. Known for her powerful voice, which Berry Gordy called the backbone of the Supremes sound, she performed on 16 top 40 hits, including chart toppers like Where Did Our Love Go?, Baby Love, and Stop, In the Name of Love. At their peak, the Supremes were arguably America's most successful vocal group, with Ballard earning an estimated $100,000 annually, remarkable money for a black woman in the 1960s. But behind the sequined gowns and spotlights, tensions simmered. As Diana Ross gained prominence within the group, Ballard felt increasingly sidelined. Her struggles with depression and alcohol intensified. In 1967, after disputes with Motown management, she was abruptly expelled from the group she had founded. Ballard's descent was swift and brutal. Her solo career floundered, with her 1968 ABC Records album failing to chart. Legal battles with Motown drained her resources. By 1971, she was forced to apply for welfare to support her 3 young daughters. Her $139,500 home in Detroit's exclusive Buena Vista Avenue was foreclosed. Depression and alcoholism tightened their grip as she struggled to maintain basic stability. In 1975, she was living on welfare payments of $392 per month. On February 22, 1976, Ballard died from a coronary blood clot at Mount Carmel Mercy Hospital, a tragic end for a woman who had once commanded stages worldwide. She was just 32 years old, leaving behind 3 daughters and a legacy of unfulfilled promise. The singer who had helped build the Supremes died with barely enough money to cover her funeral expenses. Joe Louis. Joe Louis dominated boxing in a way few athletes have ever dominated any sport. As heavyweight champion from 1937 to 1949, he successfully defended his title 25 times, earning the nickname the Brown Bomber for his devastating punching power. His fights were national events, His 1938 rematch with Max Schmeling drew a radio audience of 70 million Americans. At his peak, Lewis earned approximately $4.6 million during his boxing career, equivalent to about $60 million today, commanding purses as high as $600,000 per fight, astronomical sums for the era. But Lewis's financial troubles began even at the height of his career. His generosity was legendary. He supported an enormous entourage, gave lavishly to friends and family, and donated significantly to military charities during World War II. However, his business acumen didn't match his boxing skills. Failed investments in ventures like the Joe Louis Restaurant, the Joe Louis Insurance Company, and various other businesses drained his resources. The most devastating blow came from the IRS. Due to a decision to donate his military service purses to Navy and Army relief funds, Louis faced a massive tax burden. The IRS continued charging interest on his tax debt even during his military service, leaving him owing approximately $1.2 million in back taxes and penalties by the end of his career. Desperate to pay his debts, Lewis was forced to continue fighting well past his prime. After a humiliating defeat to Rocky Marciano in 1951, he turned to professional wrestling and worked as a casino greeter in Las Vegas. Despite these efforts, he never escaped his financial troubles. In his later years, he struggled with cocaine addiction and paranoia, spending time in a psychiatric hospital. When Joe Louis died in 1981 at age 66, he was virtually penniless, living on a $300 monthly pension from the state of Nevada. The man who had earned millions and served as a national hero during World War II couldn't even afford his own funeral expenses. President Reagan intervened to have him buried in Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors, a final gesture of respect for a champion who, despite his financial misfortunes, remained one of boxing's greatest legends.